7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
All right, welcome into the next edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. It is our NFL picks edition for week number
13.
There we go. That's Spike on mic 2. Myself and Spike are in studio, and we've got the two tokens on the phone again. We've got Token, I guess. It's hard to see because now we have to differentiate. We got Token on phone 1.
Yeah.
All right, good talk. And joining us from the Green Valley Ranch Sportsbook is Fake Token on phone 2.
Living the dream. Here at the Green Valley.
Yeah, I gotta say, I didn't know that was on my bucket list until just now. Doing a NFL gambling podcast, sitting watching NCAA football from a sportsbook. I mean, I'm not doing that currently, but I think I want to do that next time. You're going to record this podcast, Spike, and all of us are going to sit at the sportsbook while you sit at your house and record.
Truth be told, in about a week or two, that's actually not going to be a problem for me because I am completely redoing my office. I've got all the materials, just about. I just need to get the brackets so I can make the floating desk. But everything else is all set up, so it's actually going to be significantly more comfortable than it was. It'll be cleaner and everything else. So if you need me to just stay at home and do it from there, I'm perfectly happy to do so.
Well, just for my eyes' sake, I need you to stay at home most of the time.
Son of a bitch. Is your mic on? I can't actually hear you.
You can't hear me? I'll turn my mic up a little bit, but yeah, my mic's on.
All right.
Maybe I need to get my windscreen's starting to fuck up ever since I fixed yours.
Professionalism.
Can you hear me now?
There it is.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, I got a question.
All right.
I was just thinking this.
All right.
You know the mascot for the Philadelphia Flyers?
Gritty. Yeah.
I've never seen you and him in the same room at the same time.
Are you just saying next I'm wearing an orange hoodie today?
Yeah, you've got an orange hoodie. Obviously, your face is covered in orange fur. So, all you need is the googly eyes.
Well, the problem is that after my surgery, I'm significantly lighter than Gritty is now. So that's thrown off a little bit.
True, yeah.
Otherwise, I'd completely agree with you and just kind of, I'd have to be coy about it. But
wait, just go like this. You could be the Gritty bobblehead if you just.
Oh, the Gritty bobble. Oh, there we go.
There you go. Mini me version.
Yes, there you go.
He's the real life Gritty.
Yeah, there you go. Gritty in real life. You're the inspiration based on a true story.
Hey, you do call him a Muppet, though.
That's true. Could you classify Gritty as a Muppet?
I don't know. I assume
Not really.
I assume Muppet is trademarked by Jim Henson or whoever that is. So
What does Muppet stand for? I know it's obviously some kind of puppet. Magical puppet?
I have no idea. It was the weirdest thing. Growing up, my parents had cable. They refused to pay for Disney, so I never got to watch the Muppets growing up.
Yeah, I've never been a Muppets guy myself. They were like, okay, they were there, but I mean, I wasn't like goo goo gaga over them. Muppet Babies was cool, though, speaking of.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
All right, let's thank the sponsors here. Once again, it's our Vegas Squares NFL podcast. We have officially wasted 3.5 minutes of your time.
All right.
Successfully, so I figure we might as well get the people who pay our bills. I guess we're considered really an internship.
Yeah, it's not really bill paying.
Yeah, well, let's pay their bills. 12-ounce Sports Radio, where you can hear us every Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Friday and Saturday NFL pick, NCAA picks, and Sunday NFL picks. Hold on, I got a frog in my throat. Maybe it's Kermit. There we go.
Oh, there's a joke there. Somebody help me out. What is it? Fuck.
I don't know, dude.
I lost it. The moment's gone. Go on.
Yeah, get that log out of your throat. Seat Giant promo code 12-ounce sports for your discounted sporting events, concert, and theater tickets. All right, it is again week number
13
in the NFL, and we are back to give you our picks. But before we do, let's recap last week.
So last week, the three of you plus the dice were total garbage. Just absolute nonsense.
3 and 4. That's
You
not
didn't.
terrible.
That's pretty fucking bad when you have a significant lead that you need to hold on to. When you and Fake Token both go 3 and 4, Real Token and the Dice both went 1 for 6, which is not great. Whereas I went 6 and 1, my only blemish being I actually trusted Token's Lions for the last time in my life I will ever trust the fucking Detroit Lions to win a goddamn game. Or to cover a 3.5 point spread. So fuck
Or
Detroit. Fuck Detroit. Fuck the Lions.
Well, won the game.
Fuck everything about them. Just, that was absolute garbage. But I'll take 6 and 1 with a bonus point for picking the Jets money line last week. So right now we're sitting at, Aaron is in first place with 58 points. Fake Token and I are currently tied at 53 points apiece. And Token and the Dice are tied with 37 points apiece, sitting 16 points behind second place.
And that is not good.
That is not ideal. That is not where you want to be at this stage of the season.
What do you have to say for yourself, Token?
I thought this was golf. The kind you go for the low score. There you go.
Unfortunately for you, it is not. And I think now that it is week 13, you officially have 5 weeks left. I had to do the math on my fingers.
Yeah.
I believe Token's got to be swinging for the fences the last month.
Oh, yeah, and his picks this week certainly reflect that with a couple of big dogs that he's taken.
Yep.
All right, well, without further ado, we've got the recap of the picks. You've got the updated totals. Let's jump in to the games. First one I have here on the docket is Green Bay on the road against the Giants. The spread is Green Bay -6. Total is 44.5 here at the Westgate. Again, all of our lines, we use the Westgate. Currently, at the time of recording, Spike, you got Aaron Rodgers coming off a clunker against San Francisco. The Giants really don't have much going. Really have much going at this point right now. But this might be a tough spot, especially the public who may be a little bit weary about restoring their faith in old number 12.
Yeah, it's sort of a little strange when you look at the way that these two teams are going, and Green Bay, you're right, putting up an absolute stinker. I just don't know what to make of this game. It's certainly not my favorite play of the week. It's certainly not something that I'm looking at in any kind of in-depth thing. But obviously the Giants are not the Niners. We shouldn't expect that same kind of performance out of Green Bay's offense that we saw last week. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. This team is still 8-3.
Yeah, but what does that mean anymore? Aaron Rodgers is still, because everybody says that, and that's a bad man. And when he shows up against subpar teams, we all want to toot his horn again. But I mean, there's 3 games this year where he's looked exactly like he looked last season, and I mean, we're talking about a decade-long career of just injuries and averageness is not a word, but you get my drift.
Yeah, and we've certainly seen subpar games out of Aaron Rodgers this year and in other years. If you can call it a regression to the mean, I guess, but he's still able to put up points.
Still a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him put up 42 against a resurgent Oakland team. He put up 31 in a win against Kansas City, which I know Kansas City's defense is nothing to write home about, but that's still
Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, still putting up 30 some odd points in an NFL game is still definitely a good thing, and putting up 34 against the Cowboys last month. So, this is still a team to be reckoned with, especially in what's should be a tougher division with Minnesota playing well, Chicago's defense at least playing well, and Green Bay's still right at the top of that division.
Yeah, well, luckily, Token, for the Packers, they get a little bit of a cupcake here in the Giants. I mean, obviously, it's a team on the rebuild, but they have a little talent.
Yes, they absolutely do. But there's been talks going around the last week or so that they might even shut down Barkley for the rest of the year. If that is a possibility, you might even see this in this game, where they take him out early and you might only see him once or twice the rest of the game, and probably not even taking the ball in the hand.
Yeah, that's got to be incredibly unfortunate for not only the NFL but the fans. I mean, I understand that these guys are being paid heaps and heaps of money, but I mean, look, we're in Week 13. I understand New York Giants are really not playing for anything at this spot, but do you really want to, have the last month and a half or longer of the season going forward, in the future where you're shutting down the star players for 10, 11 teams? I mean, that almost seems unfair to the fan, and it seems unfair to the franchises. I know that they obviously are the ones making those decisions to protect their interest, but it seems a little, I don't want to use unfair because that's kind of a whiny term, but it seems a little counterproductive to the NFL's marketing ploy of these stars. Now, if they're injured, I understand, there's really, you can get injured basically just, on anything in this league, but it seems like a detriment to the NFL to start shutting guys down in Week 12 and 13.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if they're down by 2 scores, I see them probably not coming back except for maybe a couple plays. But
yeah, but I mean, it helps Tony. It helps Danny. What the hell's his last name? I can't. I've only referred to him as Danny Dimes. Daniel Jones.
Jones, yeah.
Daniel Jones. It helps Daniel Jones build a rapport. He can't develop if he's not continuously playing with the guys who they want to compete with.
yeah, I mean, technically the Giants aren't even out of the playoff, huh? I mean, they still have a chance to win the division. I mean, it's a very fun hope, but.
All right, we'll try this again. Your token, he's Tony. Your token, he's Tony.
No, but I'm both. So I agree with what you guys are saying. Just a twofold argument, really, where it is bad for the fans, certainly, because Barkley at his peak, well, at least as we've seen him fully healthy, and a team that is cares is one of the more dynamic players in the game, and certainly it does hurt from that perspective. And development of the quarterback. We don't have your best player on the field. It's absolutely going to hurt the development of a guy that I think they're putting their franchise under at this point. Going forward. So yeah, no, I'm in agreement with you 100%. It's not good for anybody.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so we've got Green Bay versus New York, -6, total 44.5. I got a pick on this one. I'm taking the over for all the reasons, Spike, you talked about with Aaron Rodgers. I think we're looking at 31 to 34 points with Green Bay, and I'm gonna give a couple touchdowns to the Giants here. I think they get maybe one in garbage time. I mean, I'm gonna give them anywhere from 7 to 17 points. So I'm looking at the over 44.5 in this spot. And I know you said that the dice are also on this one today.
Yeah, the dice are actually going a little go big or go home, going for the Giants money line, getting plus 240 for 2 bonus points in our contest. And putting a lot of faith in Danny Dimes and hoping that Aaron Rodgers puts up another stinker.
Oh, man, Token, you're fucked. Fake Token has a pick.
Yeah. No play in this one for me. It should be all right one to watch. I mean, kind of sucks for fantasy football players if they do have Saquon Barkley on their team. That.
What does he say?
Yeah, I'm going to shut him down. Sorry, but yeah. Yeah, I'm on the opposite side of you there, and I got the under here. I guess going with the number we have here, 44.5. Both on the 7-team contest and the 3-teamer as well. I think this game is going to be a pretty dead game all the way around. I think Green Bay's defense is still a little bit underrated. Yeah, I know they had a really, really bad week last week. And rightfully so. It was against one of the better teams, certainly in the NFL. But I think these guys can really play, and especially against the bad competition this year. They really haven't allowed very many yards at all. They're outgaining their opponents by well over 100 yards a game against subpar teams. So I think Green Bay is going to do pretty well in this one, but not a ton of scoring on both sides. And there's also a lot of weather in play here, too. This game should be played in pretty much a driving rain. So putting all that added together is a good spot to be under. And this one has moved quite a bit. It's been around 47 or so. When I got in there, it was 46. So we'll see what happens. But I like the under here.
No play, Spike?
No play, and actually no interest in watching this game, especially since it's going up against the Baltimore-San Francisco game, which I am fully invested in. So we'll get to that.
That makes sense.
When we get to it. But,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I just it's not one that I wanted to touch, especially given how up and down Aaron Rodgers has been this year. So I left it alone.
Yeah, that's fair. This was a tough week to make picks. I mean, we've only got 13 games, and you've got to pick over 50% of them.
Yeah,
not necessarily, but you've got to make 7 plays in 13 games. It makes it a little tough. All right, so Washington, Carolina, the first of our double-digit spreads of the week. Carolina 10-point home favorite. Total is 39 in this spot. First of all, Spike, what do you make of? I mean, do you make any deal out of Dwayne Haskins not being able to take the victory knee because he was taking a selfie with a fan? I find it a little comical. I mean, let the kid have it, but it's a little indicative of the, these guys don't, you're celebrating your first win and you're not even with your team. I don't know.
Yeah, there's something very, very wrong in Washington, and I'm not going to blame Haskins because as somebody that young, he doesn't know any better. I have to blame the coach and the coaching staff for not preparing him, not getting him ready, and not saying, when you win the game, this is how you act.
I mean, I didn't know they had to keep a freaking leash on the guy.
I mean, they don't necessarily, especially because he is a professional. He should know better, especially given, he's making however much money per year. He should have a better idea what to do, but again, he's still, 21, 22 years old,
Take.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Everybody fucks up when they're that young.
I don't have a problem with it, as far as from a standpoint of, he's engaging with the fans. That's how he chose to celebrate his first win. It just seemed a little odd to me in the terms of, that's how he chose to celebrate his first win.
Yeah.
It's just unorthodox to me, and I'm sure there's a lot more people a little more turned off than I was. I wasn't really turned off at all. I just thought it was a little bit, funny, I guess you could say. But he's got a tall task going up against this Carolina team who is definitely fighting for a wild card spot. They are 5-6 currently. They have no room for error left. They're done with the division, so that at this point in time they have one goal, and that's to sneak in a wild card. And by doing that, I believe they're going to have to win 5 in a row to finish at 10-6. Starts here with Washington. They are a 10-point favorite.
And that's this is another one of those games where the line to me seems exactly where it should be. So I was really hesitant about looking at this game, whether or not I wanted to put a play on it. I think what this game is going to come down to, which is going to sound completely obvious, but it's going to be, can Washington stop or at least contain Christian McCaffrey? McCaffrey right now leading the NFL in rushing, leading in rushing touchdowns, leading in total touchdowns. I mean, he's just an all-out force. Unfortunately, probably going to lose the MVP candidacy to Lamar Jackson, which is another conversation we can have another day. But I think if Washington wants to show that they are alive and that defense wants to play for their jobs for next season, then they have to be able to contain McCaffrey, keep him under 100 yards, keep him out of the end zone. And if they can do that, Washington has a chance to keep this game within a score.
LOL, good luck.
Yeah.
Token, what do you think?
I mean, it's going to be a tough test for Washington's defense with all the weapons on Carolina's offense to contain them. I mean, but I kind of see Washington kind of keeping it close. I mean, they are fighting for their jobs and maybe even increasing pay. I mean, even if they are let go, I mean, I'm sure some teams might even pick up some of those scraps and put them on their defense. I don't have a play either. I'm kind of with you guys. I think it's a tough one to handicap, just because, as you said, we don't really know what we're getting with Washington, and I've really been trying to play a lot of unders on Washington games. I know Haskins is a total, reject of a quarterback at this point. Maybe he'll develop into a real starter, but I don't think so at this point. This one is really low. The number's really low, and obviously, just say Carolina needs the game, but I don't want to be on Carolina when they're laying double digits at that point. So I'm just going to avoid this one altogether.
Yeah, that's kind of where I see this. I think Carolina's obviously the far stronger team, but the way they've been playing lately, yeah, you don't really, know. I mean, they showed obviously a great inspired performance against New Orleans, ultimately in a loss.
Yeah, they did.
So it seems like the square play would be to lay the points, but I mean, yeah, I don't want to be on either side of this, having to ask a bad team to stay close or having to ask an average team to blow out a bad team. It's tough to be on either side of that spot.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I thought about it. No play for me, and no play for the dice on this one. It's just not something I wanted to touch, and my wife.
She said.
Yeah, hi. And my wife, when she was scrambling for games, really went with just other garbage games, I think.
All right. Well, another game that is not garbage that you alluded to earlier is San Francisco and Baltimore. This is the game of the week. No doubt in my mind. This is going to be must-see TV. I will probably not even be on the Red Zone channel this week. I'll probably be straight up on San Francisco and Baltimore on the alternate TV with Tampa Bay and Jacksonville. Nevertheless, Baltimore and the Fighting Lamars are 5.5-point home favorites. Now, even though I have a play on this game, I think at this point I am officially on a cautious do not bet list with Baltimore because I've been on the wrong side of fading them and tailing them this year.
Yeah, and they're sort of strange.
I bet them 3 times. I'm 0-3.
At home this season, they are 4-1, but they're only 2 or 3 against the spread. So it's tough to figure out exactly how they're going to play this one.
They're the best team in the NFL right now?
Again,
or are we going to find out Sunday here with this game?
I think this Sunday is probably the test because this is,
New England's getting the Alabama Crimson Tide treatment. They're sitting up there despite their inefficiencies right now because of what they've done in the past. They're still a great football team, and their defense is phenomenal. But I've seen a lot of power rankings have them. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, no, I don't agree that New England's number one, and I say that as a born and bred Patriots fan. But they should still be up there for sure. I think Baltimore's blemish, especially they lost to Cleveland at the beginning of the season, didn't they? So
yeah, second or third week.
Yeah,
they lost to Kansas City, which that's okay.
Yeah, and that's to be expected. Although Kansas City's been down as of late as well, but we can get to them later. Baltimore, for me, right now, I think this is going to be a test of whether or not they can be a complete team, because this is, again, San Francisco, as good as they've looked at times, their rushing defense is probably the most suspect part of them. So I think this is kind of a game. I think they're ranked, San Francisco's rushing defense is ranked like 18th or 19th. Like, they're sitting middle of the pack at best right now. So what we're going to see out of Baltimore, I think, this week is less throwing from Lamar and more running from him and Ingram and the what's the other back there?
Gus Johnson?
Yeah.
Oh, no, Gus Edwards?
Yeah. So I think this is the kind of ground and pound type game that we're going to see. I think San Francisco is going to have to rely more on Jimmy Garoppolo, who, while he has looked good in a lot of weeks, has also looked like a game manager in some. So I'm curious to see what the game plan for San Francisco is going to be on the offensive side of the ball in that regard. But, right now we're looking at two teams that are, people are probably picking this to be a Super Bowl matchup, and I can't blame them. We get a 10-1 San Francisco, 9-2 Baltimore. I mean, this is just going to be absolutely everything that you would want in a football game, I think.
We've seen this Super Bowl before. Come on, give us some new. That was when Beyonce knocked out all the lights.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, this one I predict a lot of scoring. Both these offenses are very strong and are able to move the chains, move the ball pretty quick, even while rushing the ball.
I love hearing Token saying that he sees a lot of scoring in this game, because I'm actually on the under as one of my plays for this game. So thank you for that, Token.
Yeah.
I appreciate you locking up that win for me.
Yeah. When you need a side, save my ass, because I can't take a winner to save my life.
Well, yeah, that was proven by your score.
Yeah. Yeah. Random dice could even beat me.
I think you're tied with the random dice.
Yeah, you're currently tied with the dice, but
Yeah, by the end of the year, that won't happen. Though.
But in
I think Token should have to throw up another 20 to the winner if he can't beat the dice.
in pure wins and losses, the dice are beating you by 6 games.
Yeah. Yeah, but in this one, I do like the. This one I do like the over on this one, 45.5 is both my 3-gamer and the 7-gamer. I do think Baltimore, when Lamar Jackson's at quarterback, is able to put up points. They've only had to punt, I think, 2 times in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and both those times was when RG3 was at quarterback. San Francisco does have better defense than the teams that they have faced lately, but I do see a higher scoring game, right around a total of almost 16. This one is my projected total. I feel like a 31-27 kind of game.
Thank you, Token, for that random, irrelevant punting stat.
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson.
Well, I'm on the same train in this game too. I have the under as well. I just think this one sets up well. While I do like both offenses, I think it's going to be a tale of both defenses, especially in the red zone. These are 2 out of the top 3 teams in red zone defense, allowing points and allowing touchdowns in the red zone this year. And I think that it just really is going to come down to that. So however many possessions there are in the red zone from these 2, and I'm not quite sure how many there are going to be, I just don't think there's going to be a lot of conversions of touchdowns. So, I'm going to go with the under here. So it's 45.5 we're working with? Yes, 45.5. And, hopefully the fading Token works in this one.
Yeah, I actually am not happy to hear Tony Johnson say that because you've already said you're on the under, he's on the under, and I am on the under as well in this one.
Oh, wow.
I am hashtag fade Token's ass as much as I can, but I actually had this pick in before he just dribbled on about his punting stats.
I'm just going to go ahead and give us all 1 point for that game right now.
Yeah, that's a lock up. Does the dice get a point? Are they on this game too?
They're not on this game.
How does your wife not pick this game?
She
feels sorry for Token is what it is.
She actually
landed on the under.
She gave me these games last night, and I got Token's picks today, so I had her game. I don't think she understands the implications of this game and how important this is. As far as the standings go, as far as everything else goes, but she's on a couple of strange ones here as well. But as far as this game, I actually do have a second play on this. I am on the side on this as well. I am taking Baltimore minus the 5.5. I think this is the kind of thing where they're going to get a lead and hold a lead, and by the end of the game, I think San Francisco is going to be scrambling, and I don't see them converting in garbage time. I think Baltimore makes the stand to keep this game at least a touchdown victory for Baltimore.
Yeah, I actually took a play that I had. It was probably one of my first ones out, simply because I'm trying to focus a little more on just gaining points versus swinging for a little bit of the fences. I left out San Francisco's money line. They've traveled east twice this year, and albeit it was the Bucs and the Bengals, and I understand that they're far less superior teams than the Baltimore Ravens, but they've looked good on the road this year when they've had to. So I took that into account. Unfortunately, I did leave San Francisco. They're a plus 215, 220 is something that they were. Plus 215 at the Westgate right now. They did just sneak out of the last spot there, but I kind of like San Francisco to keep this close. If I had to be on a side, I think Robert Saleh and the defense is going to commit to stopping the Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram RPO, and somebody at some point this season is going to want or going to try to make Lamar Jackson beat him with the arm. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying he hasn't really had to yet. So, all right, Tennessee and Indianapolis. This is a key division matchup, especially with Houston having a tough one against New England later that night.
Huge game.
Yeah, both teams are one. I would say one's probably playing a little less than stellar lately after a hot start, and Tennessee, after they switched to Tannehill, they're just gangbusters right now. The line is currently Indianapolis by a point. They are a favorite at home, and the total is 43. I actually am. I'm going to be watching San Francisco Baltimore, like I said, but I'm a little intrigued by this game. One, because of its position, its importance to the standings in the AFC South. But I've liked watching Tennessee play. They actually have an upbeat offense.
Yeah, and this is the one game this week where I said I am definitively on this side for this week. I am taking it in both contests. This is a game that I need to really pound.
Hold on, let me get my William Hill account open so I can fade you.
Oh, please do, because remember, I went 6-1 last week. You went 3-4, and on Thanksgiving Day, I said every one of your Dallas picks is going to be incorrect, and they were. So
no, my field goals under 3.5 were good.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because Maher missed 2 of them.
Oh, I thought you took the over on that one. Okay,
no,
so yeah, you were good on that one then. But yeah, no.
I would just like to say #scoreboard.
Yeah.
After week 12 right now.
#, win-loss record, I'm still beating you by 2. So here we go.
Falcons money line's doing well for me.
For this game, I think you're absolutely right. And like you said, while everybody's going to be watching Baltimore and San Francisco, I am going to keep a side eye on this. Not only because this is one of my favorite plays of the week, but also because I told my wife to drop Mitch Trubisky in fantasy and go with Tannehill. So I really need Tannehill to do better than Trubisky this week. Otherwise, you and I are both going to have to write apology letters to Emily's fantasy teammates and say we are sorry for picking the wrong quarterback.
You know what? And I'll say this for our podcast, too. You know what? At the end of the day, it's your money. It's your fantasy team. Sack the fuck up and make a pick. And I'll say that to your wife.
All right.
Sack up, Emily.
Fair enough. But yeah, I absolutely adore the Titans in this spot, plus the 1 point. I think Indianapolis is going in the wrong direction, especially with Vinatieri, who apparently can't make a kick anymore, even though he's looked good in the last couple of games, but he is not looking great this season at all. I think that even with losing Walker on as a tight end for Tennessee, I think their offense is clicking now right when it's supposed to be. And especially if you look ahead at the rest of their schedule, they have a lot of tough games coming up to finish out the year. So this is a game they absolutely have to win if they want to keep pace in the division. Tennessee plus the 1, I think they win this game. I think they win not in a laugher, but I don't think that it ever gets down to like a last play kind of, will Indianapolis make it? I think Tennessee wins this one pretty easily.
Yeah, and you got a guy like Derrick Henry who reminds me of Jerome Bettis. Fourth quarter comes around, and everybody's been through 3 quarters of hell, and they don't run him a lot. As far as he's not a 30 carry guy, but he's a little more fresher than your normal running back in the fourth quarter, and you got a 250-pound running back in the fourth quarter running at you, and you're already banged up. I don't really want to tackle that guy.
Yeah, and I think that's a very nice hidden weapon for them.
Take your time, Token.
I mean, this one I do see a slow, sluggish start between both these offenses. Then Jerry struggles, probably misses 2 field goals in this one. But, however, I do see a lot of scoring with Tannehill's ability to handle this in the defense, and I am taking the over 43 in the 7-gamer and over 43.5 for the 3-gamer. I just don't see Tennessee's defense shutting down Indy completely, and they put up about 17 to 20 themselves, but probably Tennessee with the victory, putting up almost 30 points themselves.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. It's going to be a tight one, I think. The situations, Tony, for the Colts: no Marlon Mack, no T.Y. Hilton, and no Eric Ebron in this game. So there's not a lot of weapons going around. But Zach Pascal's actually filled in pretty admirably in T.Y.'s absence. It says he's doubtful, and we've had the conversation of doubtful.
Very unlikely.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That was the main point I was going to bring up. There's 3 key offensive players. They're down to defensive back as well in the game, and they're playing a red-hot team. It's a tall task, and it's certainly a game that is big for both teams. But I think almost a really a must type of win for Tennessee if they want to have any chance in this division, because they've already lost a game to Indy this year. So I think it's an enormous one there. I have Tennessee future bets all over the place. So I'm really rooting for Tennessee here. It's not an opener on 3.5 Indy, and come all the way down to about 1.5. I think it's a great candidate for, not that we're doing this obviously, but for a teaser bet here with Tennessee, taking them all the way up above the key numbers there into the 7.5 range. I think would be the ideal spot. But for me, I think it's just too close of a call. It's a tough game. I'm gonna stay away from it, but certainly we're watching closely.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have the standings in front of me. I have the standings, but I don't have tiebreakers in front of me. I think the winner of this game is, if the Texans lose, is in first place in the division.
I would, yeah.
They'd be tied. Tennessee would be tied with Houston, but they still have 2 games against Houston. So possibly, in that sense, but they still have 2 games against them. So I don't know.
What about the Colts? I think the Colts beat them earlier in the year, correct?
Yeah, the Colts.
Yeah, they're 1-1 against each other. Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see how that goes. But this ended up being another one of those first outs for me. And even before you, I knew you were on this. I feel like this is a prime spot that Indianapolis, missing all their weapons, this is a spot for Jacoby Brissett to elevate his name if he can find a way to win this game. Because, like you said, no Marlon Mack, no Eric Ebron, no T.Y. Hilton, but Zach Pascal and I think his name is Jonathan Williams. I know his last name is Williams. He's looking for his third straight 100-yard game. They're at home. The crowd's going to be crazy. Ultimately, I didn't pull the trigger, but I think Indianapolis, I can see them winning this game against all odds. And I feel like this is a sucker bet only because Spike took it. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like Vegas is just baiting. Tennessee scored 80 points in the last 3 weeks, and one of those weeks was a bye week. So, I mean, with all due respect to Indianapolis, for Tennessee, the way they've been playing, to only be a 1-point favorite, I know they were 3.5-point dogs. 1-point dog. They were 3.5-point dogs. That line has obviously moved, like Tony Johnson said. I just feel like I made this mistake last week with taking the Rams against the Ravens. I just feel like they're begging me to take Tennessee in this spot. So nobody else has a play in this one, right? The dice?
The dice are on the same side as me, Tennessee plus the 1, which is a little annoying, but that's all right.
Yeah. All right, Philadelphia and Miami. I'm sure this is the patented token Miami money line game.
Yep.
Philadelphia is a 10-point road favorite. The total is 45. I'll just let Token start it off and give me some kind of inkling on why, other than the fact that he's swinging for the fences, that he likes Miami in this spot.
I think their offense is pretty low. I mean, if I had to make the actual play on this one, this would be one I actually take Miami plus the points. Is actually one of my 17ers as well. Miami money line, which is plus 400 right now, is good. I think they keep this one really close. I think it comes down to a field goal. I don't think they will be on the winning side, unfortunately, but I could see potential.
Girl can dream.
Yeah. Biscuit for the biscuit.
Yeah, I got no play in this, so I'll just keep it short and sweet. Philadelphia needs a statement win, and again, it's Miami. I understand that, but Dallas losing and Thanksgiving, this gets them tied. Obviously, the tiebreaker goes to Dallas right now, but this gets them a little momentum. They got guys coming back healthy after this week, and they got Dallas one more time. This will be a good momentum builder just to beat them. As far as -10, that's always tough. They obviously want to stay healthy, healthier than they've already been this season. But your Miami money line's fucked, bro.
Yeah, I stayed away from this one. I actually looked at it initially thinking that I was going to take Philadelphia minus the points. I think this is the type of game where if you are doing some kind of crazy-ass parlay, you might throw Philadelphia money line on there just to get the extra team, just to get that extra little boost without worrying about the points. But yeah, otherwise, I don't like this game, either side or total. I don't know what to make of Miami. and I don't trust Carson Wentz, so I'm staying away from this completely. Even Miami at home, they're, I think, 1-5 at home, but like 2-4 against the spread, so they're better against the spread than at home. Than I don't.
Up,
yeah, I can't. I can't pull the trigger on this one. The dice do have a play on it, though. They are agreeing with Token in the sense that Miami plus the 10 is the right way to go. Yeah, but this is not something that I'm personally touching.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Tony Johnson has a play, and it's the under.
That is correct, sir. Yes, this is my favorite trend I've been following, and that's double-digit home dogs. The under has come in 26 times in the last 30 games that this has happened. That's over about a 10-year span. It's happened 5 times this year, and 4 times the under has gotten there. It makes a lot of logical sense to me that teams that are huge dogs at home, it's kind of embarrassing, and they just try to keep it close as much as they can. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep playing this thing blindly here. It's a low number. It's kind of frustrating in that sense. I wish it was a little higher, but it is what it is. So, yeah, under 45 for me, and hoping that Billy just kind of gets the lead early and rides it out. I think would be the best way for this one to come home. So, under 45.
Under 45. All right, let's move on to Oakland and Kansas City, are the last of our double-digit spreads. 10.5. 50 is the total. Spike, you a little surprised to see this number so big?
Yeah, I think it does kind of surprise me a little bit. Kansas City, as good as they are traditionally, I'm not entirely sure that the play that they've had recently warrants that high of a number. And, we've seen that Oakland, especially Oakland's offense, can be stopped. Whether or not Kansas City's defense is the one to do that, I'm not entirely sure. But, yeah, the number seems a little high to me. I still stayed away from it personally. It should be an interesting game. I am curious to see what Patrick Mahomes can do at home in a division game against a team in Oakland that for a couple of weeks there looked like they were actually going to make some noise and challenge for that division crown. But
they're only one game back. This game's huge.
I mean, the game's huge in the standings, but do you really trust Derek Carr to be able to pull that off in Kansas City?
No, I don't. I'm really shocked. Obviously, this is a product of getting whitewashed by the Jets last week. But I mean, they were 1-4 straight up on the road, 2-3 against the spread are the Oakland Raiders. Excuse me. But at home, I mean, Kansas City's not covering at a high rate either. They're 2-3 at home against the spread, 2-3 at home straight up as well. So it's not like this Arrowhead home field advantage has been huge this year. And I understand that one of those games was without Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes, he hasn't taken a step back, but he's definitely come a little bit back down to earth. This number seems huge to me, which is actually, ironically, why I feel like KC might roll in this game, but I'm not ruling Oakland out just yet. No official play for me, but if I had to, I'd probably lay the points.
Yeah, and I'm with you with that only in the sense that, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on Kansas City's coach's name.
Andrew Reid.
Andy Reid, yeah. Andy Reid's record coming off of a bye week is fucking video game absurd number. Yeah,
if not, he's lost like one game.
It's unbelievable. 2 losses. Okay, so yeah, but it's unbelievable with 22, 26 wins, something like that with the 2 losses. Like
I don't think he's been in the league that long.
I don't know. Whatever it was, I heard the number.
It's a lot to 2.
It's absurd, and that is the only reason why I think that...
unless you're counting playoffs.
Being able to win...
I mean, yeah, you're counting playoff buys, I think you might be onto something.
Yeah, but anyway, the point is, that is the only reason why I would think to lay the 10 points with you. But that's... I couldn't quite pull the trigger on it because I just don't trust Mahomes. So no play for me. The dice are actually on this game, and they are going under the total of 50, just like we were talking about with that number being a little high, especially compared to what Oakland was able to muster against a Jets team that should have given up a lot more points than that.
Did they flex a bunch of games this week? Because they got like 425s mixed in. Vegas Insider, man, get your shit together. that was a 425 game, and I still got 1 p.m. Eastern time games to talk about. They're all over the place with this shit.
Yeah.
But we've already talked about it. We'll kick back into the early games after this one. Token, I'm sure you got on this.
Oh, yeah. You probably already guessed this. This is Oakland's Super Bowl. If they do keep this marginally well, they might have a shot to win. I don't think that will happen, but I need points. So. Raiders money line for what the fuck it's worth.
Yeah. All right. Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, I looked this up. I keep pretty detailed betting records, and just for kind of reasons like this, because I'm always curious. I'm a weird guy. I looked up the last 6 years. I've actually, started betting, for more, for more seriousness, I should say. And I have bet on Kansas City against the spread all 6 years in a row after a bye. Since Andy Reid has been there. It's just one of those things. He covers about 2/3 of the time. As we talked about, he's only lost a couple of games straight up. This will be the first time in this tenure that I am not going to bet Kansas City, and it just comes down to the fact that I think the number's too high. Oakland was in this game last time they played 4 or 5 weeks ago. Now, it didn't look like it by the scoreboard, but they actually played 3 really good quarters and had 2 really bad turnovers, and that really altered the game. But they played pretty well on defense too. So I think the number is a little bit too high. I don't really want to bet against Andy Reid in the spot, but I'm going to take the under here, and it's on both the 7-team contest and the 3-teamer. I like the matchup here for Oakland, and based on some added weather and more heavy winds in this part of the country, I think it's going to be tough. To have some really long plays, the signature, big plays that Kansas City seems to get week in and week out. I don't think they're going to be there this week. So while I do think they're going to win the game, I'm going to be a little lower scoring affair with Oakland keeping it relatively close. And I don't got Kansas City winning by about 7, but we'll take the under. Under 50, is it 50 and a half? We got going working with?
50. We are at 50 at the Westgate.
All right.
Current standings.
Oh, wow. Okay, that must have just moved. Well, that's unfortunate. All right, well, it is what it is. Yeah.
I've never seen somebody express so much pain over a half line movement as he does. But the life of a
I hate getting bad numbers.
Yeah, but do you really feel like you got a bad number? If the number lands on that, you push?
Yeah, and it matters. I mean, long run, yeah. I mean, it's probably a 2 to 3% difference, and that can mean a lot. So yeah.
Would you pay the 10 cents to move it back up?
No, I would just avoid it completely. But again, for the sake of our contest, that's our number. But I did already get this one at 51, so I guess I'll be okay. But we'll survive it. And if it lands on 50, then I lose. It is what it is. You got to play within the rules of the game. So
that's the unfortunate thing. It's like you can't push in this contest, which I'm okay with because we had discussed it earlier, week 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But pushing in this, pushing in the Westgate Superbook contest is a half a point. So we may have to investigate that future.
Yeah, and I kind of thought about that when it happened because when it happened, I realized that we hadn't discussed what was going on, and I kind of thought, should we do half a point for a push, or should we just make it a loss? And then going back and reading over the rules, we said you have to
win the bet.
You have to win the bet in order to get a point. So was
basically, theoretically, you have to cash the ticket in our contest. Yeah.
So that was how we rolled. But yeah, that's fine. But since I'm not on this game, for Tony Johnson's sake, I hope the game ends up being like 13-10, just so. He doesn't have to worry about that 50-point line.
13-10 with Oakland winning.
Yeah, that'll work.
No, absolutely not. We can't even let tokens slip into this.
I'm so back it would still even take another week of miracle to even.
I think I want 51-0 Kansas City.
50.
All right, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville. Man. Here we go. 2.5-point road favorite are the Buccaneers. They beat the Falcons last week. Jacksonville has not looked good since Nick Foles has come back into the lineup. There's obviously not going to be a quarterback change. I think they're going to see what Nick Foles does. Curiosity, on Twitter, I saw that there's a chance that if things go very far south in Philadelphia, that a Nick Foles for Carson Wentz swap could be a possibility.
Really?
About a 0.0001%. Would you ever consider that Philadelphia might do that? He's only been good in Philadelphia, Nick Foles. He's only been good in Philadelphia.
While that is true, and he did win a Super Bowl for them, I'm not convinced that they're willing to give up on Wentz. At least not yet. I mean,
what are we in, year 4?
Yeah, but he keeps getting hurt. So
Wentz was the MVP that year before he got hurt.
Yeah.
He was the MVP leader.
And that's fair, but he hasn't been the same since.
While that is true,
it won't happen. I'm just saying that would be an interesting little nugget.
It would be an interesting nugget to see those two get swapped. So that would be strange. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right that since BDN has come back, the Jaguars haven't really looked the same. But they have been getting better, I think, just a little bit, just in terms of the number of points that they're putting up. They're giving up more points on defense than they were, but they're kind of ticking up in the right direction, and I think that goes along with...
I don't know how you could say getting better. They've gotten destroyed by both opponents.
Oh, no, believe me, they're not playing well, but they went from 3 points to 13 points to 20 points, so they are increasing in the number of points that they are scoring. But they are also increasing in the number of points that they're giving up, which is why when I looked at this line, I instantly said, if this total is... like 52 or under, I'm taking the over for sure, and the line ended up being 47.5. So for me, this is a no-brainer. I'm taking the over. I think both Tampa Bay and Jacksonville put up at least 30 points apiece, and this is one of those games where it just ends up looking like a Big 12 shootout.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm on the other side. I don't think Jacksonville can put up points. Their offense, their team chemistry is in complete disarray. And whether that's BDN coming back, the coach has lost the locker room, trading Jalen Ramsey, insert your excuse here. They just don't seem like a team that really wants to play football that much anymore. That being said, I am on the under for 7-3. I'm on the under 47.5 in this spot. So I'm rooting for Tampa Bay 24-3 in this.
Right. Yeah, I like Tampa Bay in the spot, laying the 2.5. They have too many weapons on their offense to contain it as well as Spike's Brett has a brother over there too at center. I just don't think the Jacksonville defense will be able to contain them, and I'd just be kind of a blowout of this one, and they probably won by easily 10 to 14 points, and maybe a little lower scoring game, like 24-10.
Spike, I have this one for you, a little trivia question. So, Mike Evans surpassed 1,000 yards last year for the 6th straight season to start his career.
Okay.
Can you name the only other receiver in NFL history that has accomplished that feat?
Randy Moss.
Fuck you.
Sucker. And the one thing, the reason that I'm leaning towards the over in this, and not to keep justifying it,
because you're not a smart man,
is that Tampa Bay's defense is basically non-existent. They're giving up over 30 points per game. The only team that's worse than them on defense is Miami. So if you're looking at is this the game where Jacksonville's offense finally gets going? Maybe, maybe not, but this is certainly the time where they need to get going, playing basically against the sieve, where they can just throw the ball and do whatever they want and try to put up a bunch of points, which is why I think the over is the right play here. And the dice are on the under as well, so
I'm okay with that.
All right.
Yeah, I'm with the dice, and Aaron, we're going to fade Spike here. I am taking the under. It's my second favorite bet of the week, actually. I don't think either offense is going to get going in this game. This is another pretty much a weather play. I hate to just beat a dead horse here, but I mean, there's already a wind advisory for tomorrow in Jacksonville. They should have gusts up to 30, 40 miles an hour, and it just can't have big plays. Now, the issue with Jameis Winston throwing like multiple pick sixes is a problem. So I will say that is a fear. Is defensive touchdowns in this game. But besides that, I just can't see much going on here. I don't know who the hell is going to win the game, nor do I really care. But if I had to be on a side, I guess I would probably take Tampa because Jacksonville is in a bit of disarray. But we're gonna play the under here, and that's that.
All right, Jets and Bengals. This line struck me as a little odd, given what the Jets did last week. It's Jets -3 on the road against a winless Cincinnati team that I would imagine is playing. Well, I would have thought was playing for the number 1 pick, but they're going back to your brother.
Yeah, I heard that. They're going back to Dalton. So
What's the point? Why get him hurt if you're going to trade him or if you're let him walk? I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what his contract situation is, but he may actually fetch trade value to somebody in the offseason here. It just doesn't make sense to me. What are you doing? You've already you get a 2-game cushion for the number 1 pick. What the fuck are you doing?
The only reason this makes sense to me at all is
because you guys have twin powers.
Yeah, well, that too, but either they have absolutely zero confidence in what they've seen out of, what's his name, Finley, so far this year, or, and I just learned this just now looking at covers.com, so thanks for this nugget, Dalton is currently tied.
That's how you know it was Randy Moss.
No, I just knew that because I knew that Randy Moss was ridiculous for his first number of years in the league, so... currently, Andy Dalton is tied for the franchise record in touchdown throws. So I think they're
hard to do.
They're just it's 197. So they're just trying to get him to a point where he's going to break that record, probably get him to an even 200, and then figure out what they're going to do. It's just I don't. Yeah, this seems like a weird line to me. This seems like something that. I don't know that Cincinnati even shows up. Maybe Dalton just, kind of waves his hand like Ted Williams rolling into Fenway Park on that golf cart during the All-Star game in 1999. But, I have no confidence, especially if you look at what the Jets offense has done the last couple of weeks. They're actually starting to click. They're actually looking a lot better. And, this is probably the Jets team that some people like USA Today predicted the Jets were going to win the AFC East, probably based on the offense that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. So, if they had gotten going earlier, maybe they would have competed. Right now, they're obviously out of it. But, it's certainly an interesting spot. If I were on this game, I would take the Jets. I couldn't bring myself to actually have to give a shit about this one.
Yeah, I actually did have a play, and I will tell you what, I went all around the spectrum. Like I said, when I looked at this line, I'm like, how the hell are the Jets only favored by 3? And then I'm like, well, they're 1-4 on the road, straight up, which is not good. So when they go on the road, they are not a good team. Also, I didn't realize that Dalton was coming back in at that point. So I was like, you know what? I think the Jets lay a clunker, and Cincinnati gets the win. However... Westgate only has the Bengals at +140. So then I had to go right back to the equilibrium and say, all right, I'd like to put a bet on this game. Don't overthink it. So stupid me, I'm taking the Jets -3.
There you go.
Yeah, this one, no play for me at all. I mean, I kind of want to see the Bengals winning this one just so they'll go forward, but who the fuck cares at this point? So.
Well, remember, Cincinnati still has a game against Miami in Week 16, so Cincinnati still has a chance to win one.
Right, and they can win that game and still get the number 1 pick.
Yeah,
because everybody else has at least 2.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with your previous comments you guys made about why Dalton's playing. I mean, I can't imagine it would be a franchise record for touchdown. Like, I just don't, who cares, really? I don't understand. It's a shitty franchise. It doesn't make any sense. But, I don't know. I don't understand. I guess we're done with Finley, and clearly he's not going to be the guy.
Being the number 1 touchdown passing leader in Bengals history, that's like being the smartest kid in a Down syndrome class. No?
Oh,
he was hoping for a laugh on that one. Like, he gave me this look like, please laugh, please laugh, please laugh.
Looking out the window, fuck you, shut up. I don't have any other good analogies. It's like being employed in fucking Jack in the Box.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is essentially all that stuff. Yeah, I don't understand that. I guess they're done with Finley. That's the only thing I can think of. But, yeah, I don't know. But, so... That said, I'm not. I think it's a pretty big flat spot for the Jets. I think they played their best game of the year last week against Oakland. A pretty decent Oakland team too. This is an Oakland team that's no slouch. But I think you saw the best game there, and we'll see a bit of a regression here having to go on the road. Since you don't put a lot of stock into the quarterback change, they're going to look better on offense because it's a starting quarterback over the last 5 or 6 years. Not that he's all that good, but at least he knows what he's doing. Essentially, and so I think Cincinnati was a lot better in this game, but I can't really pick a side here. I probably would be on the points, but I'm going to play the under again. I think it's going to be another dead game, a lot of dead spots this week, so this number is really low. But I'll play it under 41.5, or I guess it's 42 because it just moved. So we'll play the under here and hope for the best, but this is not one of my favorite picks. Just kind of had to fill in the sheet here and come up with a 7th one, and I did it for the 7-teamer, so,
Yeah, so I'm getting an advertisement here on Vegas Insider that's telling me open bar in the sky for the high roller.
We've done that.
Ferris wheel.
it's fun. I've done it.
I'm thinking me and the Tonys go jump in that bar, and you sit at home because you don't drink, right?
I do not drink, but if you want a designated driver, I'm happy to go with you.
Well, after the podcast, you can come back and pick us up.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
But we should ride that like 3 times in the open bar, and then all try to call in and as we walk the strip, do a podcast.
So, I will say I have two.
My next pick is this card hooker.
I have 2 friends that are borderline alcoholics, and one of them.
You have 3 friends. No,
we went in one of those high roller things. My wife actually won the high roller open bar thing through an NPR contest. So this guy was pre-gaming before we got there, ended up drinking himself fucking silly at the open bar, and had a couple of drinks afterwards, to the point where as long as I've known him over a decade, he's always drunk, but I've never seen him this drunk. This is the first time he actually pissed his pants. He was so drunk.
Nice.
So it was one of those special things. So if you need an advertisement, if you need an endorsement for going on the high roller open bar, my drunken friend pissed his pants while he was doing it. So that's the only seal of approval that you need.
So let me ask you this question. This is a prop bet for everybody.
All right.
So the high roller I'm looking up has been open since 2014. So that's 6 years. Over under 99.5 times on the open bar, someone's puked.
That someone's puked?
Yeah.
I'd take over.
I would take the under only because I think it takes so long for that to kick in that, by the time that they would be drunk enough to actually puke, it's got to be at least three-quarters of the way around, and then they're probably getting
I would take the over because motion sickness, you got people probably already drunk before.
All right, that's reasonable.
I think I'm going to try to find one of the guys who bartends in the high roller and just have him give me a guesstimate.
All right, I like that.
It's only 1 or 2 times a month it's been open. That's really not all that much when you think about how many they do per day, really. So, I take the over, too, on that number.
Huh.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. So, all right, back to football. Everybody make their pick? That had a pick?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Rams and Cardinals. Speaking of the Cardinals, I think we might have a new co-host on our podcast.
I like this.
There's another 1 o'clock game there. The Cleveland-Pittsburgh game is 1. I don't know if you want to do the time order or not, but, yeah.
Rams and Cardinals.
Yeah, they usually
we'll get to it.
Yeah, we're just all over the fucking place.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't know how you want to do it.
I'm following Vegas Insider's drunk ass. They probably went in the high roller last night.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
So this guy Shaw, I think his name's Josh Shaw, is suspended through the 2020 season for allegedly betting on games, and apparently that nothing that he didn't have any influence on the. I don't know. It's all I have to say about this is he's suspended through 2020, but allowed to play after that. Let Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, it not only is he's not necessarily allowed to play. It's after the Super Bowl that is played in February of 2021, he can apply for reinstatement.
Right.
So he has to actually go through the commissioner's office, and at that point, it depends on, I guess, Roger Goodell's mood as to whether or not he wants to let this person
Which side
back
of the bed
in.
he woke up on that
Yeah,
day.
so, and we all know from every decision that he's made so far that every decision Roger Goodell has ever made is wrong.
Oh, he's letting him back in.
So it's one of those things that's going to be crazy. So we have to see exactly how they feel about it, but it will be interesting because with the Raiders coming to Vegas that season and seeing if there's any kind of influence that happens there, because that's always been the reason to keep teams out of Vegas was they were worried about sports betting. With Vegas coming into the league, it's going to be hard to justify keeping somebody like that out of the league for gambling on sports. So it'll be an interesting kind of dichotomy that we have because of the Vegas connection to the league at that point.
I think if I'm Roger Goodell in that spot token, with the team coming into Vegas, I think you have to make an example out of this guy and fucking ban him from the league. That way no one else does it.
Yeah, I think that's the right play is ban him from the league, make him like an example of what to do. What?
He's got the XFL. He's good.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
He could probably bet on games there, I would imagine.
well,
I'm sure they wouldn't give a
football or arena football or
Well, arena football is
some
officially,
other league.
they officially
Well, I
filed
find it interesting.
they filed a bankruptcy this weekend. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I think it's kind of funny how they already determined that he didn't have any influence or he didn't have any knowledge about certain inside information or anything like that. He didn't bet on or against his team or really talk to anybody else or anything like that or whatever the case is. So my guess is because of that, knowing all of that, my guess is he was just degening with parlays and teasers and shit like that. It's my only guess I can imagine because if you're making straight bets, it could be certainly assumed that you might actually know something being in the league. But yeah, I mean, they I guess determined pretty early on. And from what I understand, he made some bets out here in Las Vegas, and they talked to a couple of sportsbook directors. One of them that was on Twitter a couple of days ago said he had talked to some NFL officials about it. So I'm guessing that it's just a bunch of probably parlay and teaser cards and stuff like that. So kind of harmless in its own right. But I mean, I was thinking of guys betting on the game. I get it, but maybe a little bit of an overreaction.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that he got snitched on.
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that everybody wants to be that guy that breaks the news. Everybody wants to be that guy that is the first to, kind of play gotcha. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if somebody that
It's probably the book. I think it's the sports book. This would be my guess. They've blown the whistle on multiple times in college basketball where there were point shaving, things like that.
Yeah, because they were getting fucked in the ass. That's a bit harsh.
Not really, actually. Not essentially not entirely. They didn't really actually lose all that much on a few of them. It's actually they report anytime there's anything hinky going on, or they know who's going, they actually are deemed to report these things. So I don't know. I mean, it's a thought. I don't know who did it or what happened, but that's my guess.
That's got to be a
That's how it went
corporation
down.
thing in that spot. I'm 100% confident when the mob was running this place, they were not reporting shit to the gaming commission. Back to the game though. Rams in Arizona -3. They got drubbed by the Ravens last week. I'm on the Rams in this spot. It's already moved against me. I had it at 2.5. I'll still stick with it at 3. I have this in my 7 game, and now I don't feel quite 100% confident in a 3.5 point spread. So permission to the board to take this off my 3 game and move it to a new pick.
Sure. What would you like?
I would like to officially move it to the Green Bay and New York Giants total.
All right.
So I'll keep my 7 game Rams -3, but I would move my 3 game back to that total. So
Yeah, I mean, that seems reasonable, so I'm fine with that.
Anybody else got a pick on this?
No,
Yeah,
not for me.
I actually went on it only because this is one. By the end of the day, when I was trying to look for picks, I couldn't find something that I really liked, So I just kind of flipped a coin on this one and said, fuck it, give me the over. Line, when I took it, was 47. I don't have it in front of me to see if that's still where it's at.
Yeah,
47.
Same number.
47,
Yep.
okay. So, yeah, it's just one of those things where I know that the Rams kind of got drubbed last week, but I think that they can at least get going to the point where they can put up a couple of points. I think Arizona, they're consistently in the low to mid-20s. So, if they can keep up that trend, I think the Rams can do about the same. I think 47 is probably the right number, but I think it trickles over at the very end of the game. So I'm happy with the line where it is. If it moved at all, I'd probably try to get away from it and put something else on there. But for right now, I'm happy with sticking with it.
All right. So
Yeah, I got nothing. I have nothing. I don't know if we have gone through it, but I have no play, no idea on this game. This is the game I know the least about. I feel like I know the least about this week.
all right. What about the dice?
Yeah, I just realized because I had it out of chronological order here. The dice are on this game, and they're fading Aaron. They are going with the Birds plus the 3.
All right. Sounds good. Can't wait. Last of the late games before we go back to the morning game.
Come on. Sorry. Ohio State touchdown. My bad. All right. Stop reacting to the touchdown.
Sorry.
LA Chargers are a 3-point road favorite against the Denver Broncos. This total is 38.5. Last time these two teams met, Denver did win, and I believe the Chargers are pretty much out of contention, barring some miracles in the AFC here. Nevertheless, they still got to play a football game here. What do you guys think about this one? This one's tough. Denver is on my do not bet list for the year, but it seems for the last 2 weeks it has been a subjective do not bet list because I almost took them last week, and I'm taking them this week plus the 3 points.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's nothing about this game that I liked. Not the
reason
side,
I did
not
that
the
is
total.
because I've been wrong about Denver, and I like the Chargers in this game. So naturally, when I bet,
so yourself.
fading myself.
There we go. There we
Spike
go.
method.
Yeah, I'm pulling a spike.
There's a
method.
method to your madness.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I will be the first to admit it was very hard to find 7 picks this week.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on
It was a
that.
tough week. Very tough week. Agreed.
It was very, very difficult. I don't know. I'm not sold on either of these spots. I think you're right about the Chargers being out of the hunt for the division, probably out of the hunt for a wild card at this spot because they're 4-7 right now.
Yeah.
So, not something that I am happy about, especially with I did start the season with a futures bet on the Chargers to win the West. And I put more faith in Phillip Rivers than I probably should have. So, yeah, I can't. I'm not with you on Denver being on a do not bet list, but I certainly can't trust the Chargers in this spot. So, I completely stayed away from this, and as did the dice. I just think this is going to be one of those games that it's in the afternoon, and the only people that are going to watch it are either fans of either team or total fucking degenerates that just had to make a play on this game because there's definitely better games to watch in the afternoon.
You want to know something kind of crazy? I think actually, if everything catastrophically goes their way, I think the only thing realistically they can win is the division. I mean, one more win by the Bills and the Seahawks, they are officially eliminated from wild card play.
How are the Seahawks part of this if they're in the NFC?
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, never mind. They're still in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I looked at this fucking Vegas Insider, man. It's all over the place today. All right, they're still technically in, but I think they're out.
So, yeah, they're most likely out. No play on this one. I mean, lately it seems like Brazil has been playing for the other team's defense. I mean, a lot of interceptions lately and pretty bad ones. In fact, I see Denver's defense probably attacking him and getting a whole bunch of sacks in this one. I'm not sure if he'll have as many picks as he has recently, but he'll probably throw at least one.
All right, Token, I'll give you a $1 prop bet. Over, under 4.5 sacks of Phillip Rivers.
Ooh. I I was thinking that you were going to say 3.5. I would take the over because I thought it was going to be 4. I'll take the under 4.5.
All right. Okay. Who else got to play on this game?
Well, I do. It's my favorite side of the week. It's really the only side I like, to be honest with you. And I'm a huge proponent of the Chargers here in this spot, mostly because it's a fake Denver spot. I think the situation at quarterback with Denver is a huge issue. So basically, it came out that a couple of players, including one of the third posting running back, I can't remember his name, he said on Wednesday that he didn't know who the starting quarterback was either, which is like insane because usually the game plan's already in place. Like, you know what's going on. He may not tell the media, whatever, who the quarterback is, but normally the team would know. So the fact that they didn't even know, I think is ridiculous. And then whoever does play, whether it's Allen or Drew Lock, I don't like either one. And if it is Allen, and Drew Lock has taken the majority of the snaps in practice, it just doesn't make any damn sense to me. So, and Drew Lock is not an NFL caliber quarterback, in my opinion. So, to me, this is a Chargers play here. They've talked about kind of rallying and trying to win out in the bye week. They don't seem all that discouraged. I've kept pretty close attention here because they got a bunch of bets on this division winning future stuff. So, yeah, I think the Chargers are going to roll here. I'm not really sure how many points will be scored in the game, but I'll take the Chargers -3.
All right, let's move forward back to the morning. Cleveland at Pittsburgh, and Cleveland is a 2-point favorite. Another low total, 38.5. We have in this spot. I actually need. I would prefer Pittsburgh win this game so that I'm not on my last leg, but I actually have a prop bet with a friend for $100 that he has Cleveland sweeping the division. I have them losing one game to anybody. I'd prefer to get it done right here than have to put all my eggs in Baltimore's basket because let's face it, the Bengals aren't beating them.
You sure about that?
You're never 100% sure, but I'm 99.9% confident that the Bengals are not beating Cleveland.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. So this was another one of those games where I kind of looked at it and I said, I need a 7th game on the docket for the week. And I just kept going back and forth, and as, even with Baker Mayfield getting his swagger back, there's just something about this Pittsburgh defense that I like, even though the Steelers haven't really been playing all that well. I don't know what's going on with their quarterback situation anymore, nor do I care to pay attention enough to it, so I have no idea who's starting on the team for them. So it's just
1-0. He's undefeated in his career.
Yeah, well, that's good for me because I am taking the Steelers +2. So I am happy to hear that they are starting an undefeated and I guess a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback if his winning percentage is exactly 100.
He is a first team all nation duck caller. So that might translate. And the team he beat, Tony's beloved Chargers.
Ah, yes. So I do like hearing that. I don't know. This is another one of those games where I wasn't happy about it, but I think that Pittsburgh's defense is good enough to keep it close enough that Pittsburgh +2. I have to hold out hope that they're still in this thing at the end where they can.
I gotta say I'm rooting for you because I have the under 9.5 wins for Pittsburgh, so this would lock that, or for Cleveland, so this would lock that up.
All right.
Token.
Yeah, no play on this one. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens after that scrum at the end of the last game between these two teams. And I wonder if Pittsburgh will go to 2 quarterback system and have one quarterback rip the other helmet off and bash him over the head with it. So that'd be a bold prediction this week.
If that becomes true, I'll give you 10 points. If Baker Mayfield rips Duck Hodges' helmet off and beats him with it, I'll give you 10 points. And I think we're all good with that.
Yeah, I'm down with that, yeah.
Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a play in this game, but I'm I agree with you, Spike. I think the spot here is Pittsburgh, if there was to be one, and it's a really good teaser candidate, I think. To take Pittsburgh all the way up there, past the touchdown. I just can't see them getting blown out of this game. I think it'll be a really close one. I also think that this guy, Hodges, might actually give him a better chance to win than Mason Rudolph. Now, Rudolph has really not been all that good this year. They've kind of won a lot of games despite him, to be honest. So I think quarterback change is good. And, Pittsburgh will play pretty inspired. This is a big game for them. They can still have a chance, outside playoff chance. So, yeah, I think Pittsburgh's play, but it didn't make the card. They came close. But I do like them.
All right, moving on. Let's go back to Sunday night. We have Sunday Night Football, New England and Houston. Big game for both teams. I understand that even if New England loses, they'll stay a game ahead. But after Buffalo's good showing on Thanksgiving, New England, it'd be interesting. They're a 3-point favorite. I thought that was an interesting line. I actually wasn't 100% sure where this line would open up. I thought it could be anywhere from Pick'em all the way up to maybe even New England with like a 5 or 6. But I don't put a lot of stock into that game where it poured down rain against Dallas, and I think a lot of people are with this spot, and they're starting to have the red flags. The Rob Parkers of the world are coming out saying, "I told you so, Brady's done." And maybe this is just me putting rose-colored glasses on, but at some point, New England's going to get going.
Yeah, and
total 46.
I think the advantage that New England has here is that Belichick knows Bill O'Brien's mind so well that Belichick will be able to scheme on both sides of the ball and really pull out things that O'Brien's never seen before or that O'Brien wouldn't have prepared his team for. This to me screams New England. I didn't touch it because, like you, I probably have rose-colored glasses on, and I'm thoroughly convinced that this is the game where New England's offense gets going again, that Brady can start hitting N'Keal Harry, Jacoby Myers, and Mohamed Sanu to really start getting that offense churning along once again. And let's face it, New England's defense is monstrous, and Deshaun Watson's never seen anything like this. So I'm happy to stay away from this game. If I were going to make a play on this one, I would probably parlay New England minus the 3 and the under. But again, not something that I'm going to touch for our 7-game contest here.
Yeah, actually, when I first saw this game open up, I thought, okay, we're in a dome. We don't have to worry about the elements. We don't have to worry about the weather. First thought, 28-20. And when I saw this, I'm actually on the over 46, and I have that both in 7 and 3, so I guess I'm on the over 46.5 in that spot. I see New England putting up 28-plus points, and if you can find a prop bet for that, I think usually, based on the number, I'm thinking that they are looking at somewhere around a 26-20 or 26-23 or 24-21 kind of game. So I'm thinking New England's prop is going to open up somewhere around 21, anywhere between 21 and 22.5. I'm taking the over if I can find that.
Interesting. Yeah, it might be a little higher than that if they do have a prop on it. I was thinking like 24.5.
Yeah, actually, the more I thought about that, I'd probably be 23, 24.5.
Because they are the favorite, yeah. They are the favorite in this spot.
I'm still taking the over.
Yeah, I'm definitely rooting for Texas in this one. No play on this one for me. A lot of future tickets on the Texans, so that's the only thought on this one for me, but I'm not confident in that happening.
Yeah, I don't like to bet against New England in general. I just think it's, despite the inflated lines, they're just a team that they can just cover a lot of spreads. So I try to avoid it if I can. I do think that Houston is certainly the play here. Just numerically, evaluating the teams. But I don't know. That's a little bit scary with how bad New England's offense has been. There's still a lot of room for improvement, and when and if they do improve, I think this team is going to be very, very hard to beat. But I don't know when that day is going to come. But it might be on Sunday. I don't know. But I'm just going to stay away from this one and I'm with you, Togan. I'm rooting for Houston as well. I picked them up in a future ticket, too, last week. So I'm on the Houston train just like you are.
And the dice are joining you guys. Houston plus the 3. That is their final play of the week as well.
All right, New England 47-0. Here we go. Speaking of futures tickets, I think that's Tony Johnson. How is your MGM account looking?
It's good. We have a lot in play today for college football. Going into today, it was at $64, but we have 40 of that out there in play again. The second straight week, we're really kind of being aggressive. But it's on all college football totals and Clemson. So right now, it looks pretty good so far. So I'm thinking that it will hopefully be healthy going into after today.
All right, and you two derp faces are just preying on futures.
Yep.
All right, last game. By the way, I have $77, so.
Damn.
Last game, Minnesota at Seattle. This should be a fun Monday night game, I think. I'm really interested in watching this as well. It is my favorite game of the weekend that is not named San Francisco and Baltimore. Seattle 3-point home favorite. Total is 50. This one seems a little high, in my opinion. Simply because both teams have, Minnesota's defense is good. Seattle's is probably a little better than average. I didn't really know what to make of this game because I like both teams. So I really, if I had to pick, I would like Minnesota. But 2, I don't want my boo, Russ Wilson, to find out I faded him 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and that would certainly cause troubles in paradise for you.
There would be a rift.
And it's one of those things where everybody's talking about Russell Wilson. He's got 24 touchdowns to 3 picks this year. So he's not making a lot of mistakes. Completion percentage is sitting around 67%. But Kirk Cousins is right up there too. 21 touchdowns for 3 picks, but completion percentage over 70%. So we're looking at 2 really good quarterbacks here that can, throw the ball around kind of at will. I'm actually excited to see what's going to come of this game, and I actually have a play on this one. And if they were getting a bonus point on the money line, I would agree with you. Minnesota money line would be the play, but I'm taking Minnesota plus the 3 right now, just because I think that they can get in there, and if Kirk Cousins isn't making mistakes, if Seattle's defense is not as good as they have been over the last couple of years, then I certainly think that Minnesota can win this game outright.
I mean, that is definitely possible. I mean, but I doubt it. It's my opinion. I think Seattle, even though their home field advantage doesn't seem as relevant as it was in years past and all that, I have no faith in Cousins in this game. I think Seattle's defense will be able to contain the Vikings offense this one and slow it down, holding them to probably about 10 to 17 points. Seattle probably puts up close to about 30 themselves.
Yeah, no play for me here, but I'd be with you, Spike. My lean here is on Minnesota getting the points. Nice to have a bye as well, too, last week. So, yeah, I think they'll be ready to go. And it's a tough team to beat by a lot of points. They're really strong kind of in all facets of the game. So that's probably where I would be. I'd lean to Minnesota, but it'll be a great game. As Aaron said, this is going to be one of the better ones of the week. I'm looking forward to it. Now, we don't get a lot of great games usually on Monday night, so we've had a couple recently, so this will be another good one, I think.
Yeah, I think a big boost for the Vikings would be if Adam Thielen's able to play in this game, because, I mean, Stephon Diggs has been shouldering the load, no problem. You don't want your second best option to be Kyle Rudolph the rest of the season, so I think getting Thielen back would be huge for Cousins' already great season so far. If he can get back and play and be a contributor, I think you're right. The Vikings probably will win this game. However, history is against them. Under Pete Carroll in primetime regular season games, they are 18-2 straight up at home. So that's definitely not a trend going towards the Vikings in this spot. But Kirk Cousins hasn't played this well almost ever.
Yeah,
in
and
his career.
So I'm excited to see what Cousins can do. And again, he has to play mistake-free football. So in order for this to come through, so obviously there's a possibility, and maybe a good possibility that he fucks up. But I mean, we just haven't seen that from him this year. He is playing really solid, good football, not turning the ball over, and completing a bunch of his passes.
I think the real question would be, which fantasy running back do you start for the Seahawks? Rashad Penny, 129 yards last week, and Chris Carson obviously is there too. So it'll be an interesting one. That'd be a tough spot to figure out who's going to start. Obviously, Dalvin Cook's a no-brainer. He's got 1,000+ yards on the year and 11 touchdowns. So that is week
13.
Our picks are in the books. Let's recap them. Start with the dice.
So the dice are on the New York Football Giants money line, plus 240. Swinging for the fences with that one. Tennessee +1, Miami +10, Oakland and Kansas City under 50, Tampa Bay and Jacksonville under 47.5. Rams and Cardinals, they are on the Cardinals +3, and they are taking the Texans +3 at home against New England.
All right. And Tony Johnson, let's hear your picks.
That's one, I'm sorry?
I'll
review the picks?
Yeah, review your picks.
So we got 6 unders and 1 side. So we got Green Bay and the New York Giants under 42.5. We have San Francisco, Baltimore under 45.5. We've got Philly and Miami under 45. The Oakland and Kansas City under 50. The New York Jets and Cincinnati under 41.5. Tampa Bay, Jacksonville under 47.5. And the Clippers laying 3 at Denver.
All right, Spike, what do you got for picks?
I am on Tennessee +1, and that's the only one that I actually love. So if anybody's listening and they want a pick to tail, that's the one, Tennessee +1. Tampa Bay and Jacksonville, I'm over 47.5. Rams and Cardinals over 47. Baltimore and San Francisco, I'm on the under 45.5 and the Ravens -5.5. Cleveland and Pittsburgh, I'm taking the Steelers +2, and on Monday night I am taking Minnesota +3.
All right, my picks here, I've got Green Bay and the Giants over 44.5 in the 7 and the 3. Tampa Bay and Jacksonville under 47.5 in the 7 and the 3. I am with you with the Niners and Ravens under 45.5. I, for whatever reason, am taking the Jets -3 in my don't overthink it pick, which is probably going to be wrong. Rams also -3. Denver, hopefully keeping one close at home against the Chargers, +3. And in my 7 and my 3, I have over Houston and New England, 46. All right, now comes the moment in the show where you've all been waiting for. Get your pens and pencils out. It's time for Fade Token. Token, your picks.
All right, so first 3 will be on the 7 and the 3 gamer. Seattle -3 for the 7, moving the hook to -3.5 for the 3 teamer. We got the over 45.5, which everybody is already faded of the San Francisco-Baltimore game of my pick. We got over 43 in the 7 teamer, over 43.5 in the 3 teamer for the Colts and Titans game. We got the Raiders money line, which I don't know what I was doing with that one, except for trying to get just heaps of points. Miami money line, which I think is plausible, but very unlikely still, at +400. Tampa Bay -2.5, and then Miami +10, which I actually think is kind of a logical pick. So,
You've been saying that all season.
just fire your whole bank accounts on everything else.
Yep.
That I didn't, but
Fade the fuck out of the token. All right, that's going to do it for us here at the Vegas Squares NFL Picks Podcast. Sponsors, 12 Ounce Sports Radio, where we air every Friday evening, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning. Also, Seat Giant, com, where you can enter promo code 12-ounce sports for your discounted sporting events, theater, and concert tickets. All right, you don't have to give a bold prediction, but something that you think will happen this week.
I think, let me see. You know what? I'm going to go for it. I think we see yet another quarterback change mid-game for Cincinnati. I think the Red Rocket is falling out of favor, and once he gets that extra touchdown pass to get him the franchise record, I think they bench him again.
All right, Tony Johnson, you got anything for us? Look out for this weekend or a bold prediction?
Yeah, I think we'll see the last of the winless teams go away, and I think there's a decent chance that Cincinnati will get their first win. So I think we'll have no more winless teams going forward.
So the Detroit Lions can pop the champagne with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes, they can. They sure can.
Yeah. For my bold prediction that I have, I think Lamar Jackson will have the most rushing yards of anybody this week.
That would be an interesting.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at right before I say that he can take the field as most rushing yards. It's only 4-1, but he's part of the field, unfortunately. So I was hoping he was going to be in Division 1.
Gotcha. All right, my thing to look out for, or aka bold prediction, I think that Thomas Edward Patrick Brady will throw for 305 plus and 3 touchdowns this week in a victory against Houston.
There you go.
I like it.
All right, that's it for us. We're going to wrap it up here for Spike, for Token Tony, for Tony Johnson at the Green Valley Sportsbook. I am Aaron. We appreciate you listening. We'll catch you on the next podcast.